The cameras were recording when the panda gave birth for the very first time. When she finally got up, the zookeepers couldn't believe their eyes. Giant pandas are among the most beloved bear species on Earth. People adore their round faces, fluffy fur, and silly, playful ways. But even though millions of people love pandas, they're still in serious danger. Hunting and the destruction of their forest homes have made their numbers drop dangerously low. With fewer than 2,000 giant pandas left on the entire planet, every single birth was a matter of life and death for the species. That's why zoos around the world were desperately working to help pandas survive. It was during one of these critical efforts that something incredible happened. In 2013, Zoo Atlanta faced mounting pressure. No panda cubs had been born in the entire United States that year. Their last hope rested on Lun Lun, a 16-year-old female with an extraordinary past. Originally named Hua Hua, she'd been renamed by Taiwanese rock star Su Huailun and had arrived from China in 1999 with her distinctive round, fluffy cheeks and love for mint and cinnamon scents. Lun Lun was the perfect candidate. She'd already successfully raised 3 healthy cubs, proving her strong genes and maternal abilities. But there was a catch that made everyone nervous. Pandas have one of the lowest reproduction rates on Earth. Females are only fertile for 24 hours per year, creating a razor-thin 2-day window for pregnancy. The timing had to be absolutely perfect. One mistake, and they'd have to wait another entire year. To catch that narrow window, vets keep a close eye on the female panda's urine all year long. They test it to spot the rise in estrogen that signals ovulation is near. Once that critical moment is detected, the keepers have 2 paths they can take. One is to let the male and female panda try to mate naturally. But this isn't used often because it comes with enormous challenges. First, the pandas have to be attracted to each other. Then, the male needs both the drive and the right skills. Sometimes they're just inexperienced or confused, explained Rebecca Snyder, the curator of mammals at the zoo back then. If they don't show interest or don't get it right, they lose their only shot for the whole year, she warned grimly. Because of all that pressure, zookeepers often turn to artificial insemination to give the female panda the best possible chance of having a baby, and in 2013 that's exactly what the team at Zoo Atlanta decided to do with Lun Lun. All 5 of Lun Lun and Yang Yang's previous cubs had been products of artificial insemination, a testament to how desperately difficult natural breeding really was. The team used genetic material from Lun Lun and a 15-year-old male panda named Yang Yang, the same panda who had fathered Lun Lun's previous 3 cubs. To ensure they had the best possible expertise, an animal care specialist from the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, where both Lun Lun and Yang Yang were born, was brought in to assist the Zoo Atlanta staff. After the insemination was done, the zookeepers closely monitored Lun Lun, desperately hoping she'd start to show signs of pregnancy. But with pandas, it's treacherous. They often go through what's called a phantom or pseudo-pregnancy. Their hormones and behavior can change in ways that seem like they're expecting, even when they're not. Pandas have really complicated biology, explained Lane Valentine, who led a panda program at a zoo in the UK. Because of the pseudo-pregnancy issue, hormone tests aren't reliable for telling if a panda is really pregnant. You need to use other methods, so, to be absolutely certain, the vets gave Lun Lun an ultrasound. Luckily, it worked, and they could just barely make out the early signs of a panda fetus. A single fetus. One baby, that's all they saw. When news of the pregnancy got out, everyone at the zoo was overjoyed. The whole team was thrilled, and they couldn't wait to welcome the new cub. Once the pregnancy was confirmed, the staff started monitoring Lun Lun around the clock to keep her safe and healthy. Panda pregnancies can be devastatingly short, anywhere from 3 to 6 months, so they had to stay on top of everything to be ready. Lun Lun carried her baby for about 4 months. During that time, she started to show some changes. Normally, she'd eat around 42 pounds, or 19 kilograms of bamboo each day, but her appetite dropped dramatically. That's actually a common sign of pregnancy in pandas, according to the World Wildlife Fund. Along with eating less, Lun Lun also started tearing up bamboo, not to eat, but to build a nest. That was another clear signal. Wild pandas do this as they get close to giving birth using wood chips, fir branches, or bamboo to make a soft, warm nest. In zoos, keepers give them similar materials so they can follow their natural instincts. When Lun Lun began making her nest, the staff knew the birth was coming soon. About a month before her due date, Zoo Atlanta set up a panda cam. This gave keepers and excited viewers everywhere, thousands upon thousands of people watching online, a chance to watch Lun Lun anytime, day or night, and be part of the moment when her cub arrived. News outlets across the nation, including CNN and NPR, were standing by with live coverage, ready to broadcast what could be a historic moment to millions of Americans in real time. The anticipation was electric. Then, on July 15, 2013, it finally happened. Lun Lun went into labor. She curled up in her nest, got into position, and began to give birth. Moments later, a tiny, hairless, blind baby panda came into the world at exactly 6:21 p.m., and it was all caught on camera. The newborn was pink, completely without the characteristic black and white fur, weighing just about 100 grams, roughly the size of a stick of butter, typical for pandas who usually weigh only 3 to 5 ounces at birth according to the Smithsonian National Zoological Park. The tiny creature had a surprisingly long tail, looking nothing like the round, fluffy adult pandas that millions adored. Lun Lun gently picked up her newborn and started licking it clean right away. She leaned back against the wall of her enclosure, holding her cub close, calmly and lovingly caring for her brand new baby. The staff began to breathe easier. The birth was complete. Everyone was celebrating. One healthy cub, just as the ultrasound had predicted. Mission accomplished. But then, sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. As Lun Lun gently cared for her newborn, something impossible happened. She suddenly tensed, her body shifted. She hunched over again and started pushing. "Wait, what's happening?" whispered one keeper, eyes glued to the monitor. Is she in labor again?" Another gasped. The room fell dead silent except for the sound of hearts pounding. Across the country, thousands of viewers watched in stunned silence as their screens showed the impossible unfolding. 2 minutes felt like an eternity. 6:23 p.m. A second tiny pink cub emerged into the world, another long-tailed, helpless creature that would develop its iconic black and white patches in a week or two. The silence exploded. "Oh my God!" screamed one keeper, jumping out of his chair. "There's another one. We never saw this coming. This is impossible. How did we miss this? There are 2 babies." Chaos erupted in the observation room. Staff members were shouting, crying, laughing all at once. Phones started ringing frantically as word spread like wildfire through the zoo. News outlets that had been standing by for a routine birth story suddenly found themselves reporting breaking news. The live stream exploded with viewers typing in disbelief, sharing the moment across social media platforms. CNN and NPR interrupted their programming to announce the miraculous birth. The ultrasound had shown 1 fetus, 1 baby. But here, against all odds, were 2, This wasn't just any birth. This wasn't just twins. These were the first panda twins to be born and survive in the United States since 1987. 26 years. An entire generation had passed, and nobody had seen it coming. The survival factor was absolutely critical. In the wild, typically only one twin survives. Mother pandas usually abandon one cub to focus all their energy on keeping the other alive. Mortality rates in newborn pandas can reach a devastating 50%, and twins face even higher risks. These next few days would be absolutely critical. Every hour would be a battle for survival. What made this moment even more extraordinary was the historic significance. These would be the fourth and fifth giant pandas ever born at Zoo Atlanta, following Mei Lan in 2006, who was the only giant panda cub born in the U.S. that year. The twin pandas were born just minutes apart on a Saturday evening. While it's not unusual for giant pandas to have twins, it can be far more challenging. Twins face a higher risk of getting sick or not surviving since they have to share nutrients before birth and share their mother's milk after. Sometimes a mother panda will choose to raise only one cub, abandoning the other to certain death. If that happened, the zookeepers would have to step in and hand-raise the second cub. The cubs were separated shortly after birth, one staying with Lun Lun while the other was cared for in the zoo's nursery unit. Zoo Atlanta employed a critical technique called swapping, rotating one cub with Lun Lun in the birthing den while the other was maintained in an incubator, then switching them regularly to ensure both received maternal care without overexerting Lun Lun. It was a delicate, round-the-clock operation that would determine whether both cubs survived these critical first days. Meanwhile, their father Yang Yang and older brothers Shi Lan, 4 years old, and Po, 2 years old, remained on exhibit and were not housed with Lun Lun or the cubs. Yang Yang would remain visible to the public, since panda males are not involved in raising the young. This separation is normal for giant pandas, which are solitary in the wild. Po had received celebrity treatment when she was born, with her name announced by Jack Black himself in partnership with DreamWorks Animation for Kung Fu Panda. But even Po's gender had been misidentified initially, another challenge in the zoo's ongoing struggle with panda gender identification. Thankfully, Lun Lun adapted beautifully to motherhood, seeming happy and calm as she cared for both babies. "We are thrilled and relieved that Lun Lun's twins have arrived," said Haley Murphy, the zoo's vice president of animal care. "Now, our focus is on making sure Lun Lun and both cubs stay healthy and strong." The cubs would not be available for public viewing until late fall. Visitors would have to wait several more weeks before they could see the mother and her babies. Following ancient Chinese tradition, the cubs wouldn't be named until their 100th day, a time-honored precaution because mortality rates in newborn pandas can reach a terrifying 50%. At first, zoo staff identified them as male, but in December 2013, while doing routine exams on other pandas, the team discovered something surprising. Another panda, Po, had been misidentified. Even Mei Lan, their older brother, had been wrongly identified as female when he was actually male. Gender identification in pandas was proving to be incredibly challenging across the board. Wanting to be absolutely sure about the cubs' genders since it would help future breeding efforts, the zoo ran DNA tests on several pandas, including the twins. On December 13, 2013, Zoo Atlanta announced earth-shattering news. "We can confirm that Po, Mei Lun, and Mei Huan are all actually female," announced the zoo director with barely contained excitement. This was extraordinary news. More female pandas meant a dramatically better chance for the species to recover and grow stronger over time. But the most spectacular moment was yet to come. When it came time to name the twin cubs, the entire nation got involved. Good Morning America, one of the most watched morning shows in the United States, hosted a massive online poll, allowing millions of Americans to vote on the names. The excitement built for days as votes poured in from across the country. Then, in a moment of pure television magic, the names were announced live on national television. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host declared to millions of viewers, "meet Mei Lun and Mei Huan." The twin cubs were finally named, names meaning something indescribably beautiful and magnificent in Chinese, chosen by the American people themselves. It was a moment that transformed these tiny pandas from zoo animals into national treasures, beloved by an entire country. But this story was part of something much bigger, China's famous panda diplomacy. These pandas were considered national treasures in China, and their loan to zoos worldwide was part of a strategic effort to maintain good international relations. All pandas in American zoos were on loan from China, with specific agreements that cubs born abroad would generally return to China after 3 or 4 years, once weaned. Against all odds, both Mei Lun and Mei not only survived those critical first days, but thrived. They had beaten the statistics. They had defied nature. They were living proof that sometimes miracles do happen. Mei Lun and Mei Huan stayed at Zoo Atlanta, where they continued to thrive, and hopefully one day they would have cubs of their own to help rebuild the panda population. When their time came to return to China in November 2016, they traveled with an incredible care package: 375 pounds of bamboo, 8 gallons of water, and 25 pounds of favorite treats, including sugarcane, leaf-eater biscuits, and bananas. They now live at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding in China, where they have since become parents themselves, continuing the vital cycle of conservation. As for Lun Lun, she surprised everyone again by giving birth to another set of twin cubs in 2016, just 3 years after her first twins. Those two were named Ya Lun and Shi Lun. But even this incredible story had to come to an end. In 2024, after 25 glorious years in Atlanta, Lun Lun, Yang Yang, and their last 2 daughters returned to China. Zoo Atlanta hosted a Pandapalooza event in October 2024, with special activities wishing the giant pandas farewell. All 7 cubs born at Atlanta had since become parents themselves back in China, creating a legacy that would echo through generations. Did you enjoy this story? Have you ever witnessed an unexpected animal birth or received a surprise baby animal as a gift? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Life's best moments are the ones that surprise us. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.